ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another Cider Drinker Countdown. Now, a little while ago, I ran a poll on all my social media accounts because I had a fair few ideas for the next list that I was going to do, and I didn't really know which one I was going to pick. So I left it up to you guys, the general public and my avid watchers, to decide the next one it's going to be. And, well, just pipping out the top 5 most surprising ciders list was the top 5 weirdest ciders. So for your viewing pleasure today, I am going to be counting down my top 5 weirdest ciders that I've encountered over the years. So this doesn't necessarily mean that I've reviewed these ciders. In fact, well, I've actually reviewed most of them. One of them I definitely haven't reviewed, and I definitely won't be because it won't be in production anymore. And that's the other thing. A lot of these ciders are not in production, and you might see why when we actually get to the listings and everything. So yeah, I hope you enjoy this list, and well, I'd love to hear your thoughts as well. Comment down below what have been the weirdest ciders that you've encountered over the years as well. I'd love to hear your thoughts on them. Anyway, let's start off this list, shall we? So, I wasn't going to do it in any particular order, but I'm going to do it in a top 5 because some of them are a little bit weirder than others. And also, what does weird actually mean? Well, it could be just a number of different factors. It could be the look of the cider, it could be like the make of it, it could be just, you know, any different factor could make something weird. And also weird is quite subjective as well, so it might not be weird to you, but it was to me. Anyway, so starting off with number 5. This is probably the least weird of the bunch in my opinion, but the reason that I put this on here, well, you'll see why when I list it. But number 5, it is Incy Wincy Ciders Huntsman Edition. Now, the reason that it's on this particular list is, well, the strength of it. So the one that I reviewed was 9.2% ABV, which before then there was a Swedish cider called Gouda Cider, which I reviewed, which was 9%. And for a long while that was the strongest cider that I have ever reviewed on the channel. But Incy Wincy Cider came along and pipped that to the post at 0.2% ABV higher. Now, you'll probably see on this picture, actually, that the 2018 edition was 9.9%, which is absolutely insane. And the reason that's weird is because generally, ciders tend to not be above 8.5% ABV. That's normally like the strongest strength you can get. I know some producers do ferment the ciders up to ridiculous levels like 14% and stuff, and then they water it down with like water and sugar and juice and stuff. But to actually have a cider that's commercially available at 8.6% plus is not really seen. Normally when you get to that strength, it goes into more like Pomo, like cider spirit territory. So that was definitely a very weird thing for me to do. And as I said, I have reviewed this one. Unfortunately, it wasn't my cup of tea. It was far too strong and it was far too dry for my liking. Although I would imagine, you know, it might tick some people's boxes off, especially if you live in Australia. So yeah, number 5 spot goes to Incy Wincy Ciders Huntsman Edition. All right, number 4. So this one, I don't think this one's available anymore. I would imagine it's probably not, because it was one of the first ciders that I reviewed on the channel all those years back. It is St Helier Blueberry. And you can probably tell why it's on this list just by looking at the colour. What is that colour? I mean, I have reviewed quite a few blueberry-infused ciders on the channel now, and a lot of them come out more like a light purpley, pinky sort of colour. How did these guys make it a luminescent blue? That's what I want to know. What colourings and what additives have they added into this cider to make it that colour? It was just absolutely ridiculous. I had to wear like bioluminescent goggles to review the blooming thing, and surprise surprise, it wasn't very good either. Just very chemical ridden and just did not taste nice at all. Very artificial tasting. Yeah, I don't think this one's in production anymore. In fact, I don't even think St Helier Cider Company is a thing anymore. I tried some digging around online and I couldn't find any information on them, so I would imagine they've gone out of business. And well, if they were creating ciders that are this colour, it's no surprise why. So yeah, number 4 spot is St Helier Blueberry. Right, so number 3, it's well, it's another flavoured cider pop, but it's one of the most bizarre flavours I have ever seen and I've ever reviewed. It is Orwell's Amaretto Flavoured Cider. what? I mean, this was a fair few years ago that I reviewed this one as well, and obviously now we've got all these cocktail-inspired ciders that you get, you know, your pina coladas and your Mai Tais and woo-woos and everything, but this is definitely the most bizarre flavour that I have ever encountered and reviewed on the channel. Just, yeah, who thought amaretto and cider would mix together? And surprise, surprise, once again, it wasn't that great. It was better than the St. Helier Blueberry, I can tell you that, but yeah, it definitely didn't last around too long. I mean, I'd imagine you might be able to get this somewhere. I know I got it in my local Home Bargains. In fact, no, it was a local B&M store, and it was only 79 pence per bottle, which I still felt a little cheated out on my money when I reviewed it, because it was just so full of artificial flavours once again that, you know, it just wasn't even worth it. And it came in a little 330ml bottle as well, so you might as well not have bothered, to be fair. If I wanted an amaretto, I would just make myself an amaretto and Coke, or just have neat amaretto. Why include apples into it? Who knows? I don't know what goes through these producers' minds when they think, yeah, let's just combine those two flavours together to make a cider pop, that's going to work well. Well, clearly it didn't really work for All Wales Amaretto Cider Pop because, well, as I said, I don't think it's around anymore, and probably for good reason, because it is definitely one of the most bizarre flavours I've encountered, and that's why it's on the number 3 spot on my weirdest ciders list. Alright, so we're going off the flavour track now with number 2. This one is not to do with the cider per se, it's just, well, the look of it. This is Malvern Press 81, and there was an apple and there was a pear variety. Now, I mean, you can see from the picture already why this is a little bit weird. It came in an aluminium bottle, which I know you can get other things in aluminium bottles. I mean, I've seen Caffrey's ale come in a aluminium bottle, and there was a couple of other ones that have gone down the aluminium bottle route. But I think that was just a gimmick. I think that was just a fad that just lasted. I think this was released in 2011, so it just shows you how long ago this was released. Again, I don't think this is around anymore. I've not seen it, and I've not seen any other beers being released in aluminium bottles either. Yeah, obviously cans you can get, but definitely not bottles. And it was just absolutely bizarre. It was a hard aluminium as well, so it wasn't like you know, the crushable cans you can get. So it was just weird right from the get-go. It was insanely hard to actually get the bottle top open, which wasn't a good sign. And because it was so rigid and the shape of the bottle design, it made it really hard to pour out. It just sort of glugged out and made an absolute mess everywhere. And the worst part is the cider inside wasn't too great either. Are you seeing a trend with these sorts of things? Yeah, I think this was just a gimmick, it was a fad, and I think producers suddenly realised, actually, aluminium bottles aren't working out well at all, so we're just gonna not bother. In fact, I think Malvern Press, I could be wrong, I think it was Aston Manor that produced this, the Malvern Press 81, so yeah, they obviously tried to go with a gimmick and everything, and it didn't work out, and no other producers followed them down that line, and yeah, just stick to glass bottles. What was the harm in that? Maybe it was cost, maybe it was, I don't know, maybe they're more environmentally friendly, they thought, who knows? But all I know is it made for a very bizarre experience, and one that I've not seen since. So yeah, number 2 spot, Malvern Press 81. And so number 1, this was sort of the reason that as soon as I knew that the weirdest ciders list had come out on top, I knew full well exactly what number 1 would be. And this is actually the one I've not reviewed, but I had to include it because it's literally the weirdest cider I have ever seen. It's from the Flying Monk Brewery, so it's not even a cider producer that makes it. It's a brewery that probably gets a contract brewer to do it or anything. It's their Scorpion Black Cider. What? What? Are you seeing this? What is this? A black cider. Now, you can get black lagers, you can get black IPAs, you know, you can get, you know, dark lagers and dark beers and everything. Black ciders, and this isn't even a blackcurrant or blackberry flavoured cider. No, this is a cider that I think has had squid ink introduced into it to turn it this black colour. Why? Why? I don't understand. This absolutely blows my mind that someone thought that this was a good idea. Untapped says it's no longer in production. Big surprise there. And I think it got middling reviews as well. And they were really pushing it, saying it's the first and best black cider in the world. Yeah, well, there's probably a reason why it's the first and probably only black cider in the world, because cider shouldn't be black. Why would you tint it with squid ink? It just, oh, I don't know. What was their thinking? I don't even know. I really, really don't know. But it'd be interesting to know if any of you guys actually tried it and whether it was actually any good, because I always take the reviews with a pinch of salt. But, I mean, I would have instantly have been put off by this. I would have said, that's clearly going to be a gimmick. It's just a gimmick. You're maybe hiding the fact that it's not a very good cider and you're just doing something weird and wonderful with it. You know, like, you know, I could make a cider that's really naff and just add green food colouring into it and, you know, probably call it ectoplasm or, you know, Slimer cider or something like that to coincide with Ghostbusters stuff. And people would probably buy it because it's gimmicky. So, yeah, absolutely bizarre. As soon as I saw the adverts for this, I was like, well, that's the weirdest thing I've ever seen. And that's why it's the top spot on my weirdest ciders that I have ever encountered. So, there we are. I hope you enjoyed the list, and as I said earlier in the video, I'd love to hear your comments on what the weirdest ciders that you've tried are. And yeah, join me on the next video where I will be finishing off Multinational March by going to, well, a little bit close to home, Wales. So yeah, I'll see you on the next video, and whatever you're doing, hope you have a good time. Cheers!